Let me take this to another issue that is near and dear to my heart, and that's what's happening in my home state of Illinois. We all know the popular quote, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Or in President Trump's case, if a person shows you who they are a million times over, believe them. President Trump has shown us his unlawful and inhumane priorities over and over again, city after city. He continues to deploy militarized immigration agents and National Guard troops to more American cities purely for political theater. He wants America to talk about the Texas National Guard in Illinois, not about health care costs facing American families. But it's not going to work. Unfortunately, the men and women of the Texas National Guard who are in the state of Illinois as of yesterday have been sent off on a political assignment, political theater. Instead of working to find a bipartisan way to reopen the government, lower the cost of health care, President Trump is focused on scoring points against his perceived enemies. Just yesterday, 200 or 300 members of the Texas National Guard joined federal law enforcement officers in Chicago, along with President Trump's loyal FBI Director, Kash Patel. The truth is that the arrival of the Texas National Guard and the FBI Director will not make Chicago safer. It will only escalate the unnecessary and dangerous situation this president himself has created. I still can't get the image out of my mind from 2 weeks ago when the ICE officials in full combat gear carrying long rifles were marching down Michigan Avenue. It was a hateful effort that is used to provoke people into strong emotional feelings. This administration's unlawful use of military resources to police American cities makes our country less safe, and it's a mistake that will be remembered in the history books. I pray that the court system will respond accordingly, as they did in the case of Oregon in Illinois when the hearing tomorrow is brought before the federal judge. Deploying the Texas National Guard without the consent of Illinois elected officials is, in my estimation, unnecessary and unlawful. The Posse Comitatus Act expressly forbids the use of our nation's military for civilian law enforcement unless expressly authorized by statute or the Constitution. National Guard personnel do not deserve to be used by the president's political pawns. And let me say and make it clear, as much as I regret the decision by the Texas governor to send his National Guard troops into Illinois, and as much as I want them to leave immediately, I do not make those statements at the expense of the individuals who are in the Guard and volunteered to serve their state and nation. The same thing is true with the federalized Illinois National Guard. They are doing what they are ordered to do, as according to the military standards. But the bottom line is, we all know they are not fighting crime. If the Trump administration truly wants to help Chicago, and I don't believe they do, and Illinois, it won't defy our elected leaders. It will work with us. It would restore millions of dollars it suspended, the Trump administration suspended, in crime prevention and public safety grants. Instead, this administration has chosen to use America's military to create chaos and sow fear in our cities. We all agree on the importance of reducing crime and making our communities safer. The president claims his aggressive immigration raids and threats to deploy troops are to help get violent criminals off the streets. I come to the floor 2 straight days, and this is the third, to condemn what happened last week in the city of Chicago on Tuesday. A South Shore apartment building was raided in the middle of the night. Doors were crashed down. Families were rousted out of their bedrooms, many of them brought out to the street and questioned as to whether they were in America legally. Some were American citizens, we don't know how many, and we certainly don't know if there were any criminals found as a result of that. No report. But we do know this: what happened on that street on that night was not the way America does business, and shouldn't be. It was to terrorize these families with no warrant for their arrest and no suspicion that they had committed crimes, simply because they looked Hispanic and maybe looked like foreigners, I'm not sure. This action was taken against them. These attacks are part of Stephen Miller's personal agenda for mass deportation at any cost. They've pulled FBI, DEA, and ATF agents from their assignments. important assignments to stop narcotics and other things, to carry out the president's immigration agenda. They've stopped working on fighting crimes like terrorism, gun violence, human trafficking, and drug smuggling, to land a helicopter near a building in Chicago and to bring 30 families out into the street in the middle of the night. I have fought for humane reforms to our immigration system and evidence-based ways to reduce crime in our cities. If the president is serious about fixing our immigration system or lowering crime in our communities, I'll join in on that effort. But sending in militarized federal immigration agents and National Guard troops to our communities is not the way to do it. These actions have accomplished what I believe is the president's true intention, sowing fear in the hearts of our communities, especially our immigrant communities, and consolidating the president's power in Washington. The actions taken by this administration undermine the very fabric of America, a nation that was founded on the belief that all people should be free from tyranny. I remember a time when every member of Congress would have risen in outrage if the administration attempted to use the military unlawfully against the cities and communities and states that they represent. Unfortunately, this time has passed. There's nothing but silence from the other side of the aisle. Congressional Republicans are content to stand aside in abject servility to this president as he tramples the Constitution. But Americans should not stay silent. People across Illinois are peacefully making their voices heard and letting this administration know the attacks on our city will not go unchallenged. As a senator from Illinois, I'll do everything in my power to hold this administration accountable for their unlawful actions. They may think this is a diversion of attention from the basic issue of controlling health care costs and helping working American families afford their health insurance. I think it's much more. It is a threat to our republic and our Constitution, and I hope that others will join me in condemning this activity. I yield the floor.